So today I'm talking about how to look at your posts that you have published and audit them so that each time that you post something, you continue to get better and better. As a reality TV producer, this is something I do all the time on shows. I work in post a lot. And so we put cuts together. Then we have internal notes for several rounds before we even send it to the network. And so, as I've been helping different people start to show up online and helping them elevate their post, I knew the time would come when I had to edit my own stuff in order to be able to market my services online. So, as I do this, I was looking at my first post and I was like, oh my God, I have so much work to do. But I just decided to put my producer hat on and tackle this the way that I would tackle any cut that I'm working on. And I thought I would just bring you guys along for the ride. If you're looking at your post and you're thinking, I just know there's a lot wrong with it, but I'm not sure how to fix it, that's what I'm working on today. So for myself, we're going to go over my first post that I made on YouTube. Well, my first long form post I made on YouTube, and I'm going to go over some notes that I gave. Now, in the next video that I make, I'm not expecting a Christmas miracle where all of a sudden I my posts look perfect. What I'm doing is elevating step by step. So I went ahead and called this network notes because it's kind of like getting network notes and you're trying to elevate the cut for the next time it goes out. So here are the notes that I gave myself for the first cut. And you'll see at the top, there's overall notes. So basically what happens is I watched down a cut or I watched myself down and I just asked myself, how do I feel overall? Do I feel good? Do I feel confused? Do I feel nothing? So I ask myself how I feel about it and what are the first things that stand out to me that are going to need to be fixed. So that's what overall means. So for me, it was framing. And I'll show you the clip in a second, but eye line should be higher. So raise the laptop, more of a medium shot. So pull out a little bit more. This feels more like a close up shot. The other note I gave myself was too many examples. So that means I rambled too much in each, I went on too many tangents. So all of the examples water down the message. It doesn't emphasize the point. It's convoluting the message. So now I know, okay, these are things that stood out to me before I even took a deep dive. So then what I do after I've watched it overall is then what I do is I go through and stop it every time something kind of bothers me. So I'm going to start with 44 seconds in. Okay, so the first note was actually about the hook. So we're going to watch down the first 44 seconds and then see what the issue was with the hook. Are you someone who posts that but feels like you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, or you feel like you're posting every day but you don't really have a strategy and it doesn't feel intentional? It just feels like it's something that you know you're supposed to do, but you're not really sure how to do it or if you're even doing it right? Well, today I want to talk about ways that can make you feel more confident about what you're posting. And so that every time you go show up to post, you feel like you're posting with intention and you feel confident that when you're done posting, that this is something that is contributing to the message that you want to market for your business. Okay, so the note was the actual hook, I don't have an issue with. It's more the energy. It feels more like a presentation than a conversation with one person that you're helping with a problem. Would also consider using text on screen that includes the promise of the post. What is the outcome that you're promising? I would see how it feels, including that text at the top of the video during the hook. So basically, what I've learned from this is I need to practice having more energy and feeling a lot more conversational at the top. And so that it doesn't feel like I just hopped on a Zoom call with bosses and like I'm showcasing a presentation to them. So that is definitely something that I'm going to start practicing. So that's a big note. If my notes seem a little harsh, it's just um, me talking to myself. when I do this with, like, for instance, if I'm giving notes on a show, a lot of times I write exactly what I'm feeling, like what I'm thinking and what the solution is. And then you kind of word craft it so it's not like, do this or this is terrible. You really do, it is a collaborative effort. And everyone is giving so much love, time, and attention to these cuts. And we're just trying to all make it, make it something that the network wants to see. So if you're like, geez, that's kind of harsh, it's just I didn't word craft it for myself. I'm just stating the facts about what I'm seeing and then what I can do to fix it. That's just a side note. So then the next thing at 222 is to need to edit out the first. How do we distill it down? Don't need to say it twice. So I'm not going to go pull that up just so you can see it. It's just, it was a choppy edit. So I said, how do we distill it down? How do we distill it down? And so that was just a bad edit in that case. Um, 302, I already forgot what the premise of the post was about. Need to reset and remind the audience what we're talking about again. Okay, so I'm going to actually pull that up and see what that's about. Sometimes I think it's easy to get lost as we create content and forget the point of posting. And the point for us as business owners is to market what we have to offer. Okay, so basically here, it's just that I had been talking for 3 minutes. And another thing, I mention it later, but a lot of it too is my cadence, is it's very presentation and it's not, I'm like not in the vibe yet of like if you were a cast member sitting across from me, I would have we would have a rapport. And so it would feel more energetic. I would have more ups and downs and high energy. And right now, I think also because I'm doing it on my computer, it has a very Zoom energy to it. So the cadence is kind of making it feel monotone. By minute 3, you're already like, dude, what is she even talking about? Like, what was the point of this again? So I think what I might do is do tent poles. So we do this in television a lot. It's like you reset at the end, like, so you have an act, you have a commercial break kind of, then you come back and you remind the audience about what's going on. And so I think as I move from segment to segment, I might remind the audience of the premise just until I get more rhythm and energy with my posts so you're not like, wait, what am I even here for? So that's the big note there. That is something that I know that I need to work on, is feeling more conversational in front of the camera and not so much like I'm in a network meeting. So the other thing I noticed is we're only 4 minutes in, and I think I've given like 3 different examples. And so I really want to narrow each post, each video to one strong example so that you remember the example. If I have like 10 examples in a video, you're never going to remember. You want an example that helps you apply the information. So, really focusing on just one example per video. And then for each section, add text on screen to let us know we're moving to the next idea. Absolutely. That's the other thing too, is I did this in iMovie and I'm probably just going to do it in Canva because it's just easier. But adding the text on screen next to me also gives you something visual to look at besides just my hands moving. So it definitely will help with the pacing, having visual graphics up in front of me. 542, it says, this is a good example of resetting the premise of the post. So let me go ahead and go there so we can see that. This video is about not having a strategy when posting and what to do, but I haven't remind. So if this video is about not having a strategy when posting and what to do so you don't feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. That's what this actual post is about. But I haven't reminded the audience of that. So now it runs the risk of feeling like a tangent. Also, without the help of visual text and cadence with my speaking, it runs into monotone. So right now we're 5 minutes in. There's too many examples. There's not enough visual text to keep the eye engaged. And because my voice is feeling a little monotone and not conversational, I think I'm losing my own attention span. So these are ways that I can fix these problems in the future. And so then at 542, it says, so right now you might believe in order to feel like you have more strategy and tension. This is a good example of resetting the premise. So we'll look at that really quick. So right now you might believe that in order to feel like you have more strategy and intention, you think the solve might be better hooks, or maybe you feel like you need better equipment, that if you had better equipment, you could convey your message and promote your business better. So that was a good example of a reset. So enough time had gone by that it was a good time to remind the audience of what we're even talking about. Like, what am I here for again? Why am I watching this? What solution am I trying to find? So this is an example of resetting the post. Okay. However, it takes almost 6 minutes to get to a solution. The audience has to wait almost 6 minutes to get an answer. So we need to push that to at least the 3 minute mark. So that's a note for myself, is that what have I even been talking about for 6 minutes? Like, what have I been talking about? And so it took 6 minutes to get, like, the audience is gone. So it really is about making sure that I'm reminding the audience of what they're here for and getting to the point a little sooner. And I do think that the examples, taking out some of those examples, will be really helpful. So then at 6:51, we have a bad edit. So thinking of going to the script because it's easier to edit talking head videos. So I might do that. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. Right now, I'm going to try and I'm going to do these network notes just in iMovie because I'm just going to cut it up because at least there's visuals and you're really here to just learn how to do this. But for upcoming videos, I'm going to try editing it in iMovie and then putting it in Canva. Honestly, just because I'm already paying for Canva. So I'm just trying to not have 20 million subscriptions. So I'm going to see if I can do it. If I can't, then I'll go to Descript. So another note I had was too many television examples. Pick one example for each post. Yep. Application. So how does this apply to you? I don't remember what that one means. Let me look at that one. Honestly, I can't remember what the note was. So this happens a lot too when you're working on a show, is sometimes the notes aren't clear when you get them from the network. So you have to like send an email and say, what did you mean by 10:02? Or I would probably have to rewind it a little bit longer and just see what I'm talking about. So I'm not sure what that means. The reason I'm doing it so detailed right now is because I'm trying to learn. It's so much different when you're in front of the camera than when you're behind the camera, and it's hard not having an entire crew of people, that someone sets up your cameras, someone else is doing your audio, you have editors waiting to edit this. Like, I have to do it all myself, as and so there is a learning curve, and I have to learn how to be in front of the camera, how to get more conversational, what's worth editing, what's not worth editing. So there's a lot of this is a learning curve. So these notes right now are just so that the next video that I post, I'm going to at least take one takeaway, even if it's just the framing and maybe the hook, and or the tent poles, and just give myself that information. 1256, tent pole your assignment, ask yourself. So another tent pole. So really making it very clear as the segments change so that the audience can follow along very clearly and it doesn't just feel like one long run-on sentence. And so the tent poles really help add punctuation, especially in talking head videos. The other thing I know is at 1424, so it ends at 1755, and I had a summary and a final thought, and I just need to end it at 1424. I'll show you what that is, and then we'll wrap it up. Know what your social media page promises, and you know how you're going to fulfill that promise. Now, when you wake up in the morning, let's say you haven't planned out any social media posts, you have a way to focus your attention. You have a destination. Your destination is to make posts that fulfill the promise of the page. So you can go back to, what do I promise to help people do? And how can I post and fulfill that promise today? And then when you're posting, you can always answer the question, does this post fulfill the promise of my page? So I would end somewhere like there, like the conclusion. We've already had the two questions, the application, like what the audience needs to do to solve this problem and why it helps them. So somewhere around here, I'd have to go back and look exactly. Somewhere around here, I would end it because everything after that is just rehashing a summary by 1424, 1736. So there's like 3 minutes of just summarizing. So it's one clear sentence as to why implementing the message is important. So I think honestly, what I might do in future videos is honestly just stop and say, the reason this is important is because, and then answer that question, then do my call to action and get out instead of a long summary with another example. And you see at the end, lose the summary. So, this is how I create notes when I'm working on a show. And this is how I'm going to be creating notes for my posts so that each time I'm posting, I'm getting a little bit better. So, here are the things that I'm going to work on. Number one reality television example for each video. There's not going to be 20 examples. There's one strong example that illustrates the point. That's it. Number two is tent poles. As I shift ideas or go through each talking point, I'm going to reiterate the premise to remind the audience what the premise is and what we're moving into to keep the audience engaged. And then number three, I am going to add some more visuals, especially until my monotone, until I drop the monotony. Just to help visually engage the audience. One summary sentence, so one clear sentence emphasizing why implementing this message is important, and framing. So those are the big four takeaways, three or four, I don't remember. I really hope this is helpful because I'm going to be doing these, especially for the first 10. So my goal is to do 10 posts and just post them, still give content and value, but really just not nitpick and learn from each experience because I'm also learning how to schedule time to actually create these videos, schedule time to edit these videos and post them. So there's a lot of moving parts to get this to feel more organic and to feel more automated. So thank you for watching. I really hope this is helpful. If you have any questions about how I did that or how it applies to you, please leave them in the comments and I'm more than happy to answer them.